We just got some news a short time ago. President Biden asking his administration to prepare a potential executive order that would make federal contractors offer their workers a $15 a minimum wage. Steve Leisman joins us now with the latest chapter in this long-running saga. Steve.
Yeah, long-running. Since the first minimum wage was put in place in the 1890s in the U.S., Andrew, the issue has been litigated as far as the Supreme Court, studied by academics from restaurants, counties to whole nations and states, and like now, debated furiously by politicians. Many economists, like Treasury Secretary nominee Janet Yellen, who was originally a labor economist, they've seized on several studies showing a rise in the minimum wage does not cause employers to shed workers.
Now, in terms of potential job loss, there's now a large economics literature on this, and the findings are that the job loss is very minimal, if anything. So I think the likely impact on jobs is minimal.
Supporters also argue that higher minimum wages will boost spending, adding to growth, and reduce the need for government assistance to the employed. But doesn't end there. Opponents point to a Congressional Budget Office report that found raising the minimum wage to $15 would give some 17 million Americans a raise, but result in as many as 1.3 million job losses potentially. Low-skilled workers, teenagers could be the hardest hit. Companies could be motivated to raise prices, cut hours, and potentially automate. Opponents say a strong economy and a tight labor market is the best way to raise wages, but doesn't always work. A couple facts on the minimum wage. It has not kept pace with inflation over the decades, and wages overall have not kept pace with worker productivity. And one new emerging area, more employees have fewer places to work, so they can't go down the road to get a raise. A higher minimum wage can help offset the lack of competition for labor, something economists are focused a lot on right now. Still, little doubt that for some businesses, especially small ones, a $15 minimum could be a breaking point for not hiring. The question you need to figure out whether overall more workers and therefore the broader economy end up being better off at a higher minimum wage. Andrew?
So that's the question, Steve. Where do you land? You think of the minimum wage. Sometimes you think of the late economist Alan Kruger. How did his work change the thinking about so much of the impact on higher minimum wages, for example?
So before Kruger came along in the early 90s, Alan Kruger, of course, the former CEA chairman for President Obama, before he came along and did this groundbreaking study in the early 90s, most economists believed the rise in the minimum wage was bad. What he did was look at two counties, one in one state and one in another, where the minimum wage had been raised, and he found that it didn't really affect employment. That study has been duplicated around the country and in other countries as well to show only a minimal effect. But it depends a lot about the speed with which the minimum wage is raised and also the amount that it's raised. So it really changed people's views, Andrew, but not definitively. There's still a lot of work that really promotes both sides of this issue.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.